love lives here.
Hey there, good morning, everybody. This is Reverend Jeffrey Ryan. I am the Senior Minister of Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where love lives here. So it is such a delight and a joy to welcome you to our Sunday morning service. This morning, it is already the beginning of August. How does this even happen that it's already so, the year just keeps seeming to fly by. So it is the beginning of August. So I want to wish everybody who is celebrating a birthday in the month of August a very happy birthday, and everybody who's celebrating an anniversary in the month of August a very happy anniversary. Ed and I celebrate our 5th anniversary as a married couple in just about 2 weeks on the 15th of the month. So we are excited that this is that we get to spend this time with you. So welcome to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. Go ahead, if you are watching us and joining us on Facebook, go ahead and start a watch party and invite your friends to join us here this morning as well. It'll be a great opportunity to see you and friends and invite them into our time and space together. So I also invite you to use the hashtags hashtag love lives here and hashtag we are CSL. It is a great morning this morning here in Riverside. It's going to get up to about 100 degrees today. But it's nice and cool where we are, where you are, being in community together here online this morning. So I want to welcome everybody. We've got a wonderful guest this morning joining us. Reverend Marie Kirkland from Living Aligned Virtual Ministry. I'll be introducing you to her in a few minutes. But I want you to reach out right now and just give yourself a great big hug and know that you are loved and that you are the beloved, and we are overjoyed that you have joined us this morning. So I'm going to invite Jabel in, and we'll start like we usually do with song, and then move into a bit of meditation and invocation. Here we go. Good morning, Lupe. Good morning, Constance. Good morning, Cindy. Great to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy August. Let's get this party started. This is one big family, and I know you know it. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Now you sing it, here we go. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. One people living in one planet, morning in one family, we all are one. One people living in one planet, joining in one family, we all are one. One people living in one planet, joining in one family, we are all one. One people living in one planet, joining in one family, we all are one. We all are one. We all are one.
Good morning. I'm Neil Hayner. I am a practitioner and ministerial student here at the Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. I invite you to close your eyes and simply enter into prayer with me. And so as we enter into this sacred time, I simply know that there is only one power. That is the power of love. And so I know that as we enter into our common unity, into our community, that one power, that one love is present right here and right now as each one of us. It is the power of love. It is the power of wisdom. It is the power of grace. It is the power of beauty. I know that all of these things are present because we are present and because God is present. I know that this time together is unfolding in perfection and under the divine direction of God. And so I know that everything that needs to be heard this morning is heard clearly at a deep soul level. Everything that needs to be spoken today is spoken from a place of authenticity and connection. And I simply know that we are coming together to love, to serve, and to remember the God, the divine in each other. And so I call this time together good and in great gratitude for every single person here this morning and with every single person within the sound of my voice. I simply know and declare and celebrate the good that is present this morning and that is unfolding here together as each one of us. And so it is.
This is a great song called Rise, and I hope you enjoy it. close my eyes, I open my heart, I take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, I let love in, I feel the beat that's calling, calling, calling us to rise. Rise, spirit, rise up, rise in me. I ready my soul, I clear my mind, here and now, in present time. I feel the power like 1,000 suns. Get up in the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Rise in me. I sing to you, I sing to me. Change up this noise, make sweet harmony. Come on and rise. Oh, rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Rise, spirit, rise up, rise in me, rise in me. Heart to heart, hand to hand, no turning back. Onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns? Lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise. Oh, calling your name. Love's calling, calling. That's why we came. Love's calling. Calling out your name. Love's calling. It's why we came. Come on and rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Come on and rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. Come on, rise up, rise up. Spirit, rise up in me. Rise up, spirit, rise up. Come on and rise up in me.
Thank you, Jabel. Beautiful. Yes, it's time to rise and rise up. All right, so my beloved community, let's start with our focus statement like we do every week. And this, let's just, I don't want to give you any background around that at the moment. Let's just start with our focus statement, shall we? Let's say it together, full of passion, full of meaning, full of intention, grounded and centered, and aligned with our focus statement. Are you ready? Here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. And just breathe that in. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. That is what we are here about here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. And that focus statement serves the larger vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And we are awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence, providing spiritual tools and principles and practices to do that. So all of that is encapsulated right there with our focus statement as well. So here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living and at Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, we are focusing this year on the global theme of 2020 spiritual vision. And the theme for this month, the new month of August, the theme for this month is inclusion in action. And so as we always do every Sunday and with every month, we are looking at this theme, inclusion in action, through the lens of our focus statement and how these two things work together. So we are looking at inclusion in action through the focus statement of we embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. And so what then does inclusion in action look like with our focus statement and that? So that is what we are working on, or that is what we are looking at rather, for this entire month of August. So it's very exciting. We have a wonderful series of guest speakers joining us every Sunday for conversations like this. And I am so thrilled to welcome our first speaker, our first guest in conversation for this month, Reverend Marie Kirkland. Reverend Marie Kirkland is the founder and spiritual director of the Living Aligned virtual ministry. Her community brings people together to experience the power of alignment through practical spirituality, inviting each person to live intentionally, to deepen relationships, and to live aligned and forward while doing their meaningful work in the world. Through her practice of living with an open heart, she inspires sacred conversations that lead to self-discovery. She facilitates classes that evoke curiosity and empowers individuals to navigate life's intersections in alignment. As the host of the podcast, Living Aligned, Living Forward, Reverend Marie interviews spiritual leaders who share stories, practices, and lessons that have propelled them forward. Reverend Marie's sacred service extends outside of her virtual community, where she currently serves on several Centers for Spiritual Living committees, including the one that I'm serving on, and this is how we met, is through the 2021 Global Themes team. And so please join me in giving Reverend Marie a warm Riverside welcome. Welcome, Reverend Marie.
Thank you. It is so good to be here with you. Thank you so much.
It is a delight to have you with us. I am so excited about this entire series, and I'm excited about our conversations this morning. I know that this is a huge part of the work that you do with Living Aligned virtual ministries, is being in these sacred conversations around wonderful topics, a variety of topics that help expand our consciousness and that help deepen us and to live aligned. So I would like to ask you to share a little bit about Living Aligned. It's a focus ministry, it's a virtual ministry, how that came to be, and what's behind your Living Aligned philosophy there with your virtual ministry.
Wow. Okay.
I know that's a lot. So just pick something there and go for it. We're going to help that.
So I'm going to do just that. So what I want to start with is what most people ask me is, what is Living Aligned? Okay. So it's so many different things. And I want to share with you in particular, when thinking about what is living aligned, I think about the first verse in the Tao Te Ching. And it shares that the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, right? The name that can be named is not the eternal name. And the Tao is both named and nameless. And that is living aligned, because living aligned is so many different things. And in particular, what I want to start with, it is exploring within yourself what it means to be alive in your own life. And so Living Alive virtual ministry, it came about because of my philosophy of life. And so as a minister, what I embarked to do is to live a whole life and to bring all of who I am into my teaching and into my ministry. So living aligned is my life philosophy. And so I'll start with that. And it's very important that we practice this spirituality, this practical spirituality, and apply it to every aspect of our lives.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. So would you share with us some of the principles and some of the practices that you use from in living aligned, being in alignment with, and living from that place of alignment, living from that place of centeredness? Would you share some of the practices and principles that you live and teach as being living aligned?
Okay, yes, I'm happy to do that. So you already shared what our intention and our vision is, and how we live that is what I always say, like at the end of every podcast, we are always living, so choose to live aligned. So every moment we're always living. And how we express that in our living aligned community is through our values, our spiritual values, of which we know, which is abundance, empowerment, just using practical spiritual tools. So we use all of those, and oneness, integrity, gratitude, practicing them, and then taking it beyond, right? Taking it beyond our values to our ways of being. And ways of being allows us to take it beyond theory and practice it in our life. And so we have several ways of being. And whether that's what we call it, each of us practice in our own way. So these ways of being are choice. How are we using choice in our life? Gratitude, intentional living, love, mindfulness, non-attachment. So we have all of these many ways of being, and we have them listed in our community, of how we show up and decide to show up every day to take it from theory to practice. And even beyond that, then what do we do? How do we practice it? And we do that through our spiritual practices, whether that's journaling, having these sacred conversations, sacred study, and we combine all of these things to practice them in our everyday life.
Wonderful. So very common practices that we have here at Centers for Spiritual Living, and you're doing this in a new format, I think, for Centers for Spiritual Living, which is a really wonderful thing. In that your ministry is a virtual ministry, meaning that you're 100% online. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So for our folks, the majority of our communities in Centers for Spiritual Living are centers. Mm-hmm. And I would say that one of the types of communities, there's three types of communities. There's centers, there's teaching chapters, and there's focus ministries. And under focus ministries, we also see virtual ministries like yours. Mm-hmm. And I would say that the virtual ministries and the focus ministries, a lot of our graduates, more recent graduates from the School of Spiritual Leadership, are stepping into and finding their own way and blazing their own trail, if you will, with these focus ministries and these virtual ministries. So I love, when we're working together in the committees the committee that we work together in, your perspective and what you're bringing to that. One of the things that you're bringing to that in the broader definition of inclusion is that you are really bringing a focus to the focus ministry, to the virtual ministry, to make sure that as an organization, as a larger organization, and us as a community supporting that larger organization, that we're also not being completely biased toward our centers, but that we are actually expanding our vision and really being much more inclusive of our focus ministries, our virtual ministries. Mm-hmm. So how do you see living aligned contributing to the greater expansion of and inclusion of virtual ministries and focus ministries within CSL.
Okay. So let me share the reason why, one of the reasons we are virtual. I have, ever since I discovered this teaching, I've lived away from a community. And it is my belief, my great belief, that our spiritual growth does not have to depend upon where we live at, geography. And so people should be able to transform, be in community and connect with others and grow and be in classes wherever they may be in the world. And Living Aligned Virtual Ministry, we do just that. And so while I am here on the East Coast in North Carolina, there are members of our community who are on the West Coast. There are some in Canada, the UK, Australia, and different places all over the United States and different places in the world. And our podcast reaches people in over, I believe now it may be close to 20 different countries, right? And many different states. So we are wherever people are. And so that's one of the main things, and one of the main ways we can contribute. And the other way Living Aligned Virtual Ministry can contribute is how are we living this teaching every day in the midst, and I want to add, in the midst of anything. And as everyone knows right now, we are in the midst of 2 pandemics going on. So how do we live this and live aligned and move forward? Now, one of the things I talk about is as we're living and we're on our path, we may come upon a couple of different intersections. We may come upon an intersection where we are right in the middle of that intersection, where there is faith in front of us, paradox behind us, and fear and doubt, right? Or faith and fear on either side. What do we do in that intersection? And that is one of the most powerful places of being in alignment, because that's where we do our work. That's where we do not do a spiritual practice, a spiritual bypass. We lean into what it is we're feeling, and then we do our work. We do lean into our spiritual practices I spoke about earlier. Determine what way of being we want to show up, connect with others, be in community, and do our work. And then it is at that moment we recognize that the paradox does not exist, that there's only oneness. And so it is in sharing this truth and these practices and the ability for people to connect with us wherever they are and practice this teaching and this philosophy of religious science and living aligned in their lives, and empower them to see their own magnificence. And I want to share that living aligned is also the synergy of minimalism. It's also the synergy of essentialism, Taoism, spirituality.
Beautiful. Reverend Raymond was sharing last week about the Taoism, and he shared the same quote that you started off with, actually, that it's not, that the way that can be named is not the way. It is the way, but it's not the way. It's so much more than that. And, and so it's I think, this opportunity that we have now here at Centers for Spiritual Living, in that, centers have joined your ranks, right? In that we're now virtual too,
I have to laugh. Yes, that is true.
For those of us, who have brick and mortar, places, that we too have entered into this. And I see this, and we've talked about this in committee, that it is about, we have this opportunity right now at Centers for Spiritual Living and through this technology to do exactly what you've been sharing, is that we have this opportunity to reach out far beyond our 4 walls, far beyond being predominantly US centric, far beyond those, and really branching out and sharing these spiritual truths and sharing this message of empowerment, this message of liberation, sharing it with people outside of the US or beyond the United States, that it's really become, we have the opportunity to share it globally.
Yes.
But I think we also have the opportunity here to really step onto the world stage as a leader, as a faith leader, an organization that is really leading transformation, because we are in a time of dual pandemics, as you said, 2 pandemics. We are in that time. And I think our faith, our philosophy, our theology really lends itself to moving not only the conversation forward, but living forward, as you also say, talk about living forward, that it's an opportunity for us to really live forward and live into a greater yet to be, a more, getting that much closer to a world that works for everyone in all of creation.
Mm-hmm. What I want to share also, Reverend Jeffrey, is that we talk about this month, right, is inclusion.
Yes, absolutely.
Inclusion in action. And it is so important. If we're talking about inclusion in action, we must also recognize that there are many parts of ourselves, right? And so in order for us to be this inclusion in action, and I also want to even talk about that word inclusion, is that we must be aligned ourselves and leave no part of ourselves behind or betray any part of ourselves. And so once we can do that and be fully one, embrace oneness within ourselves, then we can recognize it in other people. And we were, and I believe that you were on the call as well, we were on a diversity call a few weeks ago. And one of our colleagues, Reverend Rafe, he shared something that I thought was very profound. And he talked about the idea of inclusion. And so when we are including somebody in something, we are trying to have them become part of the container. And the container itself is limited. Mm-hmm. And as we know, right, this world, our life, the universe, there are no limits, right? And so it is truly recognizing that which is in us is within everything which is spirit expressed. And so, it's this idea of inclusion in action invites us to just to have another look at it, right? It evokes curiosity to have that greater conversation. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally agree. And I think it really begins within, right? As you're saying, that there are all these parts and pieces of our lives, of our identities, of our culture. And we are all multicultural beings.
Yes.
Which Tracy Brown joining us next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that as well. But we're all part of multicultural beings. And so if we are not living aligned, to use your phrase, if we're not living aligned with the totality of who we are, with each individual piece of who we are, if we're trying to exclude something from within ourselves and not take ownership of it, or more important, or as importantly, take responsibility for it, to try to shirk responsibility or try to deny something is operating in my consciousness or in our collective consciousness, to try to ignore or put aside or set aside or deny. When we're doing that, we are not fully integrating the totality of our being. So we're not fully being present with our wholeness, our innate wholeness that we are. And so I think when we come from that place, then if we're trying to deny pieces and parts of ourselves, then we also form blind spots when we move out into society as a whole, and we are interacting with other beloveds who are also part of the oneness, that are also the totality of oneness and wholeness themselves. And so I think that there's that opportunity here to really come into alignment with ourselves, with a capital S.
Yes.
And really embrace our totality and learn to love even the parts of us that we don't necessarily like or don't necessarily want to admit to.
Yeah, or understand.
Or understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Or understand.
Yes.
And then coming from that place, right, then we have once we begin to do that inner work, then the work that we're able to do out into the larger community is strengthened by the inner work that we're doing.
Yes. And as Raymond also shared, right, is that what lens we're looking at. And so
Yeah.
looking at our own lives from a lens of separation, we are separate within our own lives. We are not aligned. Right? We are betraying who we are and everything. Then we tend to see everybody and everyone in that lens, in that space. And I also want to share, yes, this is the principle of all of that. Yes. Right. And there is the outward action of it. Right. Of this experience we're calling inclusion. And so there are so many different levels of everything. And it begins with each of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Reverend Rafe, I think on that same call that we were on, that Diversity Inclusion Commission call that we were on, he was talking about inclusion already is.
Yes.
Everything's already included in God. It's not something that we're striving to. Inclusion already is. Diversity already is. But, inclusion and oneness and unity don't mean sameness, don't mean uniformity.
Yes.
It's so we're already included. And so from that visioning perspective, because I know that visioning is an important practice in your life, that visioning perspective, and I've said it frequently, and I continue to beat this drum because it's true, at least it's true for me, is that Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith said that 100% of spiritual development is in the letting go, right? And so it's in releasing those blockages, releasing those things that are in our way, that are impeding the flow, if you will, releasing those things, because we're already living in inclusion, but we have the opportunity then to take action, to make sure to take real action and intentional action to make sure that what we are living out into the world reflects the inner understanding, the inner awareness of inclusion.
Yes. And I appreciate how you brought in that intentional living. And that's one of our ways of being, and intentional living without being attached to it, so that non-attachment, which is also one. So it's important that we do that. So I want to share a personal story for myself. And as I share this, I am sure that it may be, and it is probably true for many people. So in the last few months, in this experience called COVID, and within all of the social pandemic, I myself, had to experience what it meant to live from this space and live in principle, and also to experience what this meant for me. And being in that and living in that, I came upon that intersection where I had to absolutely stop and be still, because it showed up for me in different ways. And so I invite each of us to recognize it's going to show up, that part of being out of alignment is going to show up. And then what do we do? What do we do next? And so for me, I had to release, let go, take a breath, because I could not breathe, take short breaths, and embrace mindfulness, non-attachment, and take a sacred pause. And so my invitation for each and every person is, what does that look like for you moving into alignment? And so to embrace that, I just wanted to share that there are many different ways that we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. it is, I love how you phrase it and how you approach it with looking at it as an intersection.
Yeah.
Looking at things as an intersection of like, okay, so we're kind of at a crossroads here. We're at this place of two things or multiple things really are coming together at an intersection. And so then, how are we going to then cross the street? How are we going to move forward? How are we going to live forward? Are we going to wait patiently and push the walk sign and wait for the walk sign, or do we need to dart across, or, how are we doing this? And I think that sacred pause that you're talking about is so important. To be in that sacred pause, that sacred quietude, because it gives us that opportunity to breathe, to remember that we are actually being breathed by the one life, that we of our own selves are not breathing, that we are being breathed. And to have that sacred pause before stepping forward into what's next or the greater yet to be. Because then it's that moment, it's that opportunity of being aligned, right? Of bringing ourselves back into alignment so that we actually have the ability to come from a place of response rather than a place of reaction.
Yes, and creating the life that we want to live. And so living aligned is living the life you want to live if you knew it was possible. And let me share a couple of more intersections. Surrender, resistance, harmony and discord. That's the intersection. Being seen, unseen, heard and unheard. That's the intersection. And the different roles in our life. So there's many different intersections, and when we stop. Oh, here's a good one. Doing and being and doing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Trying and not trying. Yeah. So there's a couple of them. One of my greatest, I want to say joy, or the work that I'm doing ultimately is to support spiritual communities. And so that our spiritual leaders live from a place of, they are not burnt out. Let me just put it out there. So our spiritual leaders, we can live from that place of just simply doing less to become more.
I love that. Doing less to become more.
Right. And it's not necessarily that we're giving less. It's the way that we're showing up, and so that we can give from that saucer and not from the cup, and
right.
That is, mine to do.
And I love that you really hold your Fridays as sacred space. I know we've had some meetings on Fridays. That's supposed to be my day off too. And, but I love that you have this commitment to self-care. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes. So it is in how we do everything in our life. It is for me, so living aligned, yes, it's about principle. Yes, it's about spiritual practice, but it's also about the other relationships in our life. It's our relationship to time, our relationship to having space in between what we do. So just a couple of things I do is monk mode. So in the morning, practically in the morning, I retain that space for myself. Generally, I will not, unless it's very important, I will not schedule anything before 11 o'clock. Generally, I'm unplugged. Unless it's very important, then I will respond. And I also have a certain way to connect with people so that I can do my deep work. And everybody has deep work that we're doing. And allowing time to do it is important. So with that being said, we have our community is inside our own community. We have our own private community where it's away from the distractions of social media or email, and it's within. And so it is in that space that we can connect and we can do our deep work and connect with each other. So that's just a couple of different things: space, time off, and so I can connect with the work I'm doing, do my deep work, and nurture my relationship with the divine as me.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Well, that makes you the perfect person then to be leading our 2021 spiritual retreat in Banff, which is Rise and Re-Emerge. So, Reverend Marie, you serve on the events team, and you are one of the co-chairs for that particular event. Do you want to share with our folks just a little bit about Rise and Re-Emerge?
Yes, I am the co-chair of SOAR. Coming up is going to be in Banff, Canada. And myself and Reverend Savannah Noel, she is also a co-chair. And we have built this amazing experience to where each day we are going to rejuvenate, innovate. We're going to talk about self-care, and we're going to talk about evolving who we are. So it's all about rising and re-emerging. And now we don't know what beyond is going to be, but we do know that it is all about our inner transformation and our growth. And so you can go out online, and I'm pretty sure that Jeffrey will share the information for you to register today for SOAR. We're going to have plenty of workshops and times to be in spiritual practice as well.
Yes, and what I'm knowing and affirming is that by a year from now,
yes, a year from now,
it will be easy and effortless, and we'll be able to travel without any restrictions, and we'll be able to join together in this beautiful, beautiful place. It's been on my bucket list for years, Banff, Canada. So I want to thank you for taking lead on that and for stepping into that sacred yes. So I would like to invite you now, if you would please, to close this particular time out here, this message time, this time of message and conversation, with prayer, and then we'll come back in a moment. So.
So I invite you to simply recognize that is within you in this moment as your breath, that is the life of the divine, that is the life that is present in you, that is the life that is aligned. And so I simply speak this word, knowing for each of us that as we move forward into our day, into our livingness, that we embrace peace, that we embrace love, that we embrace choice and with non-attachment, and that we move forth living aligned and living forward because it is ours to do. I simply allow this to be uplifting and dissolving anything that is unlike this truth of love and alignment and gratitude. I let it be, and so it is.
This is called An Instrument of Peace. It's absolutely the most beautiful words. I'm so happy to be singing it for you. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, ever joy, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of peace. Oh, divine master, source of light in all, grant that I may not so much see, to be consoled as consoled, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to be loved. For it is in giving that we receive, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of your peace, Lord. Make me an instrument of peace. It's in the pardoning that we are pardoned, Lord. It's in the dying that we are born to eternal life. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace.
Thank you, Jabel. Thank you, Reverend Marie. So I want to thank all of you for your generous, continuous contributions to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. It is such a delight and such a joy to just see the abundance and see the flow of circulation continuing in our community and with our community, and your conscious contribution, your joyous, joyful, intentional, conscious contribution really is making a difference in the world, making a difference here at Centers for Spiritual Living as a global organization, but most specifically here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. Something I want to share with you that is coming up that we are super excited about because of the way this community continues to step up and continues to participate in conscious contribution, continues to participate in conscious connection, is that starting this fall, we will be starting what are called spirit groups. We have now the ability and the opportunity to participate in a wonderful, wonderful, meaningful program that allows us to become a community of small groups, so that when we're feeling that maybe we've been feeling some disconnect over the past few months, now 5 months, my gosh, that maybe that we've been feeling some disconnect. Well, this is one way that we can really begin to connect with one another in smaller ways while still staying safe, while still being able to be in joy with one another. So that is spirit groups, and that'll be coming up in September. So you'll be hearing more about that from us very, very soon. But I wanted to share that with you, that because of your conscious contributions, because of your generosity and your intentionality, this is becoming more possible, so that we can begin to find newer ways and more expansive ways of being in spiritual community together. So I want to thank you. So the easiest way to contribute to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living is via text. You can simply text to give at 951-419-5858. Type in the amount there, hit send, and boom, it's right there. That easy. The other way that is super easy to give is if you go to our website, riversidecsl.org. That's riversidecsl.org. And in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the word contribute. Click on that and you can contribute that way too. Super easy, super fun, really excited about what's coming up in September for us as a community, the way we are moving forward. It is joyous, it is joyful, and it is so amazing to see this community come together the way we continue to come together and expand beyond our four walls. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love you. So thank you for your generous contributions. Jabel, let's sing a moment and then we'll come back.
Right. Let's do it. I know you know it at home. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Again, I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. All right.
Thank you. So just a couple of quick announcements before we sign off and move over onto Zoom for Beyond the Conversation. Reverend Marie will be joining us there on Zoom. And so that Zoom ID number is 249-395-737. That Zoom ID number for Beyond the Message, a conversation with Reverend Marie, is 249-395-737. And if that's too hard to remember, we're putting it in the chat, but it's also, if you go to our our website, again, it's on the front page of the website, riversidecsl.org. I want to draw your attention to our website. Gabby and Nia Ennison created a beautiful, fun video that is about tie-dyeing, and it's a tie-dye craft that you can share with the young people in your life. So I want to thank Gabby and Nia for doing that. I'm excited about that. I know that my niece and nephew are super stoked to be able to do this tie-dye craft. It's a fun one. So I invite you to go check that out on our website on the Village page, riversidecsl.org/the-village. Check that out there. And so thank you, Gabby and Nia, for doing that. Then coming up here for the month of August, I want to share with you who else will be joining us. So let's pop that up on the screen. So there you see that today, of course, we have Reverend Marie Kirkland joining us. Next week, Tracy Brown, the former chair of Centers for Spiritual Living. She was the chair of the Leadership Council. She'll be joining us. It's very exciting to have her with us. Our friend Jafan Seeley will be back with us the following week. Then we have Reverend Masando Hiraoka joining us from Mile High, and practitioner Kat Kim joining us from CSL Seattle. And so this conversation series continues inclusion in action with these beloveds. It is so exciting to be able to invite them into our homes here in Riverside. So I look forward to seeing you next week and throughout the rest of the month. Once again, Beyond the Message starts in just a couple of minutes. 249-395-737 on Zoom. So I'd like to bring Reverend Marie back in. Hi, everybody. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you, Jabel, for providing us music. Thank you, Michelle and Matt, for your technical support in the background. Thank you to my beloved Ed, who's been attending to the chat. And most importantly, I really want to thank Reverend Marie Kirkland of Living Aligned Virtual Ministry joining us this morning. And it's such a delight to have you with us. I look forward to a long, continued relationship with you and your community. So I look forward to that. So thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening. Wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called love.
It is this thing called love.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my body.
Love is in my body.
Love is in everything I do.
Love is in everything I do.
I am it.
I am it.
I share it.
I share it.
And I receive it.
And I receive it.
Because love lives here.
Lives here.
Love you, everybody. We'll see you over on Zoom.
All right. I sing my love. Sing along. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. Here we go. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. Dance your joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy into the world. Have a great Sunday. Happy August. Love you all. Love.